Welcome, friends. So today I have a channeling to share, and it's all about how to stop judging yourself and others and finally heal. And it talks about this through various different lenses, which I will list out all of the different main topics in the description just so you can read through them, see if it resonates. But it covers how to discern between if something is truly in alignment or if it's just maybe enabling something that is no longer serving you. It talks about healing your relationship with your body, using politicians as a tool to develop your inner compass. It also actually brought up a teaching that came through me this past winter. So I'm going to have the screen black so you can just listen. But when it talks about the drawing, I will have that drawing up on the screen just so you can kind of see what it's referencing. So I did channel this without the intention of sharing it. I've been channeling to channel a lot more lately. And so there was a lot of background noise, which it was really hard to clean up without distorting my voice. So I highly recommend not using headphones, especially if you're sensitive to kind of background noises. And I think that's it. If I miss anything, just check out the description to see the topics. And without further ado, here's the channeling. It's the energy that you blame in one. When one is on the world stage, they are acting as a mirror for energies that are deeply held within the collective. And even if you feel that you do not engage with that particular energy at the level or intensity that another is mirroring it back, if you see that individual with disdain, with hate, with division, with opposition, you are holding on to that energy. So if there is an individual that is creating separation and fear, pitting one against the other, acting in a state of deep division, we will say, fear, insecurity, ego, a false sense of being better than, a false sense of being in fear that it will all crumble, a false fear that you are invincible. All of these energies are held within the collective, and it is someone that can be seen through a lens of questioning why. And that is a very important question, but notice what the intention and energy is in which you ask why. A figure in history, Hitler, that many speak of, and many people ask why. Why did he do it? Why did we let it happen? But when all of the energy is placed upon the individual and those enacting, it creates a sense of division that it is them and not you. And so you must ask yourself, how am I engaging in that energy? How am I putting myself in separation? What degree of hate am I portraying, feeling, projecting? For even if you are feeling at odds with a particular part of your body and how it looks, this can be seen through many lenses. You may not like how a particular part of your body looks or feels, and you can also be in acceptance of it. I do not like my stomach. I do not like how it looks. And I know that it looks that way because I have given birth to my beautiful children. And I know that this feeling that I have towards my stomach is not mine, but is a collective belief that it should look a certain way. And yet that does not take away the sensation and the feeling of discomfort or insecurity or unease when you look or feel it. And when you hold all of these pieces together with a true sense of openness, of inclusivity, of all of them being able to coexist, honoring the collective beliefs of how the body should look, honoring the judgments of when it does not look a particular way, honoring how and why it has come to look that way, honoring the lessons in which you are moving through in this experience, honoring your feelings towards it, not judging them, but honoring them, and honoring the fact that it is what it is, being in acceptance of it. And if you then move into a place of separation and begin to harm the body to change it, even putting the body through surgery, the act of taking a scalpel to the body, of injecting something into the body, removing something from the body, having people surround your body, faces covered, bodies covered in a surgical space, can bring forth ancient cellular memory of acts that were done to individuals. It could bring forth energies, thereby do not judge it if you have done it, for it may have been purposeful for bringing up something from the past. And if you have gone through some sort of surgery, some sort of act to change your body, and you feel a sense of unease afterwards, it could be many, many, many things. It could be a feeling of, what did I do? It could be a feeling of, that wasn't necessary. It could be a feeling of, it doesn't look the way I wanted to. It didn't work. I need to do it again. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. Why won't it ever be enough? That is something to sit with. And it could also bring up memories. Memories of situations similar to it. Not of the same, but that are reminiscent of times past in other lives, perhaps in this life, that were maybe not consciously made aware of, consciously seen through the lens of love and compassion. And when you can begin to do this within yourself, you can begin to see it in others, whereby if someone is acting in a way that feels reprehensible, what is that bringing up? What is that bringing up within you? Do not project it onto them. Do not move into a state of division. And yet, as we say, do not, if you do, please honor that. For it is not easy to be ingrained to put something onto another to then simply snap one's fingers and stop. It is exploring the mechanism, the beliefs that allow you to move so easily into that space of separation, into that space of hate, into that space of judgment. And when you can see how easily you judge another for an act that you see in a headline, not knowing the full extent of the circumstances around it, not knowing how the headline was derived, how it was worded in order to gain attention, not knowing the actual circumstances. For example, this one speaking now has looked at a headline and read the article, and the actual content of the article has nothing to do with the headline. That is a similar energy of this. When you hear something, you do not know all the circumstances, nor can you understand all of the circumstances. And by that, we don't just mean the circumstances of that moment. We mean the circumstances of all of the lives involved. And not just the physical lives involved in the situation, but all of the lives that they are living, have lived, will live, however it is that you want to see it through the lens in which you understand the idea of living multiple lives, whether it is at once or in a linear sense. And if you do not believe in multiple lives, then that is the lens in which you see it through. And because there is no way for you to understand fully that person's experience or any of the experiences of anyone involved, you cannot be in a place to judge. And notice if you have been judged for an action that you took, when you felt that you were justified in taking that action, but people judged you because they did not know the circumstances around it. So then you can see how you have been the recipient of that energy, and then you can see how you have received it and then are putting it upon another, and then you can see how this energy becomes deeply ingrained in the web of the human psyche within humanity, but not from a place of knowing, from a place of forgetting, driving one another deeper into separation and division and fear. And we know this process is not necessarily an easy one, for you are not taught to look at the, as you say, shadowy aspects. And even when people do look and explore their shadowy aspects, they are sometimes judged for that. And that is also a lesson. Everything is purposeful. It just may not be clear if you are seeing it through a particular lens. So when you can release the egoic attachment to any experience that you are sitting with, when you can be truly fully open and see it as experience, as energy, it softens any sense of attachment and identification, because that right there also feeds into the sense of judgment and expectation of how you should be doing it, of how it should look, of what the results should be. You are in attachment to the outcome, to the process. When you can release those attachments, you can see more clearly. And even in seeing clearly, that may bring up deep, deep wells of pain that have not been addressed. And so if you find yourselves in the throes of emotions and not knowing why do you need to know the why? You are experiencing something that feels very, very real and very, very deep. You are experiencing the pain. Notice how the mind wants to analyze it, to understand it, to put it in a tidy box. But when you do that, you limit the releasing of that energy. Can you just simply allow it to flow, allow it to be felt with this sense of openness that it is connected to more than you can begin to think with the thinking mind? The mind can be a very useful tool. That is why there's been such great emphasis on it. But that energy has been misdirected. Because when the mind is not merged, when the mind is a separate entity, disconnected from the physical body, disconnected from the energetic body, disconnected from spirit, how can the mind move into a space of unity if it in and of itself is not in a place of unity? Many traditions speak of lower mind and higher mind. Many see this as the lower self and higher self. It does not matter what you call it. Knowing what label, what name is of service to you is important. And also knowing when it has reached this threshold of importance and service is also important. For this one here was brought forth the naming of limited self and limitless self when they realized that higher self was contributing to a deeply ingrained sense of hierarchy that is present within everyone in society. Anytime you feel that something is better or worse, it is part of the hierarchical system. This is different than preference. You may prefer one flower over another, but it does not make it better than the other flower, does it not? That is the difference between preference. If you want to see it through that lens, this higher mind being in a state of union of, this is what I resonate with, this is what I don't resonate with. It is not better, it is not worse, it is just my experience and connection and relationship to it. There is a deeper resonance at a frequency level. and you may not know the reasons why, nor do you necessarily need to. You may see it because it is your favorite color or because it smells pretty. But at a deeper level, there is an energetic frequency that is connecting you to it. And it all serves a purpose, to understand why you prefer something at a more physical, sensorial level. I like the smell. I like the color. I like the texture. That is an entry point into understanding the sense of resonance at an energetic level. And when you can begin to practice this with, say, a flower, you then connect to that energetic experience whereby you can then implement that in your life. For it is much harder to do it with people. The flower is not wounded in any way. It is not projecting any wounds. It is not poking at any of your own wounds. Yes, a rose may poke you with its thorn, but you know that it was not intentional. But when a person pokes at your wound, intentionally or unintentionally, you then blame the other person. You do not see it as an opportunity. You do not see that person with a sense of gratitude for revealing something that needs your attention. So when you can begin to see the energetic resonance of, say, a flower, and then you can begin to see that in another human. I very much like being in the company of this person. I do not enjoy myself. I do not feel myself when I am with this person. Now, this can be taken in many different ways. You may not enjoy being with another because they actually do bring out something that needs to be seen. Thereby, it gets confused as to dissonance when they are actually providing you with a very valuable service. And if you can again step back and see it through the lens of the observer or the witness, which just simply means that you are not attached to it through the egoic structure, the personality structure, the thinking mind that is not in union, the limited self, the wounded self, the perceived self, so many ways of seeing it, of labeling it. And so using that technique with experiences that are not with another human is important. I do not connect with this essential oil. This one was once told, if you do not like the smell, it means you need it. And this resonated for this one, and it also brought up a sense of disagreement in the belief of that. For this one also saw that it was a black and white statement. For things cannot resonate because they simply do not resonate, and some things cannot resonate because it is needed. This is the exact point of this conversation, but it is much harder to do with another human. And as you move deeper into union with plants, with oils, with animals, you begin to build that muscle of unity consciousness. You begin to merge. And then you will see that it becomes much easier. And perhaps you do not do it with people that you are close to. Perhaps you do it with people that you know, celebrities, politicians. You again do not know all of their lived experience. And so you also know that you cannot necessarily judge them. And you see their actions, you see their being, their presence, and you notice if there's a dissonance or a resonance. It is interesting, is it not, that politicians have viewpoints, objectives, but they are not always in harmonious accord with how they actually feel. And notice if you can sense that. For that is an energetic reading of discernment, of authenticity, of sincerity, of integrity. to not just hear what you want to hear, but to truly hear it from a place of sincerity, a place of truth. Thereby you begin to work the muscle, build the intelligence within, we will say, but do not misconstrue the idea of intelligence in terms of the misdirection of energy, of the focus of the intellect. This internal intelligence, this cellular intelligence, this energetic intelligence that is not of the thinking mind, that it is in separation, but this cosmic, universal intelligence that is in a state of union. And you can begin to understand truth. You can begin to understand your personal truth. One of the ways is through preference, yes, but also going deeper. Understanding it, what does it mean for you? Not necessarily what it means in the context that you generally move towards that energy. What does it mean? What does it mean? You are seeking for a meaning, you are seeking for a knowing, generally wanting it to come from another source. And that energy is that part of you that is so wanting you to remember, that is so wanting you to come back into union, into alignment. And you can feel it, you can feel that energy of what does it mean? That is why when you want to know, do not judge that part of yourself, for that is coming from a very deep internal place that is wanting you to remember who and what you truly are. And when you feel that energy, drop into it, release the attachment of understanding what a, say, synchronicity means, what the angel number, as you call them, means. Just simply drop into the experience of what it is that you feel in that moment. For that will bring you into that state of union, into that state of knowing, whereby if there is some sort of meaning, purpose, understanding, it will unfold in time, in the time in which it is perfectly needed for you in your own unfoldment. So much of this is taking a step back, understanding from an energetic perspective, however that lands for you, as you say. And notice if that phrase does not resonate for you, if there is some charged dissonance, because it feels like a saying a therapist might say, and did you maybe not have a wonderful experience in therapy, or did you have a partner that weaponized therapeutic jargon? Notice that. It may not be the phrase, for it is just simply words put together. What is driving the dis-ease that which you feel from a phrase? For that is your entry point into understanding a wound that is within you that just simply needs to be seen. And then if you can understand, say, for example, if you had a partner that weaponized therapeutic language to make you feel less than, can you see that with clarity and see that individual with clarity, knowing that someone that is in a place of union and alignment would never weaponize language to hurt another? Thereby you have understanding and compassion for that individual. And you may not know the connection as to why you experienced it with that individual. But letting go of trying to understand it, trying to find meaning, will open the space for any knowings to arise if they are pertinent for you. If they do not, allow that to be. Many of you overcomplicate this process through the identification and internalization and the unwillingness to look at something with a sense of openness and curiosity and compassion. So we invite you, if any of this speaks to you as truth, if any of this is rubbing you the wrong way, please explore that. That is how you move out of judgment and into curiosity of understanding your personal needs, your individual and collective wounds. We brought forth a drawing for this one in terms of a tree. If you look at the image of a tree with the roots extending down deep into the earth, interconnected with other trees, other beings, and then you see the branches extending upwards, creating the image of a toric field. You see the physical imprint of the toric field, and yet to see the actual toric field, you need to see it through the energetic lens. So imagine a tree now in your mind, the roots and the branches, and see this tree as a toric field. Now, when it is just simply seen as roots and branches disconnected from one another in all energetic expression, connected through the trunk but not connected in physicality through the eye, the physical eye, there is a disconnection. But when you can see the physicality and the energetic expression of this turning into this toric field of connection, roots and branches through the trunk, you begin to see that toric field as you with your trunk, as you have named it, your trunk. If you imagine jumping for joy, the legs and the arms extended outward into an X, you begin to see that your body then represents the tree. This is why the symbol of tree that came through this one looks this way. And why the symbol of X is a symbol of union in this one system of the symbols that have come through her. But when you think about the tree as this toric field, and when you think about you as a mirror of the tree, as this toric field, especially in a position of joy, you see that the toric field very easily becomes into view. And you see this energetic toric field that is in the physical and the energetic simultaneously. It is just simply the perspective in which you see it, the eye in which you see it. Now, this was a later lesson in the drawing that we spoke of earlier. The drawing that we spoke of earlier was this idea of wound cycling, as this one refers to it, whereby there was a heart in the center of the trunk. And when this heart was closed, energy that was brought forth from the outside, from another, hitting the branches, as it then moved down that toric field. If you imagine the toric field not on the outside, but coming through the inside, almost like a black hole. In a black hole, you reach that point in which there is no return. Yet, if the heart is closed, it then begins to move back outwards. So if someone pokes at your wound, your branches receive it, brings it in, the heart is closed, you project it right back out to them. If a wound arises from the deep unconscious and subconscious, as you have referred to it, entering up through the roots, coming up through the being, feeling those emotions, but the heart is closed, it then moves right back down, represses it once again. And every time it comes back up, it needs to find more emotional intensity to get your attention, to see it, to feel it, to heal it, to release it, to integrate the wisdom behind it, and in it, and of it, and through it. And so you see, when the heart is closed, when the heart chakra, if you want to see it through that lens, is blocked, when you are not in a state of union, when you are not existing from a heart-centered place of compassion and unconditional love for yourself and all, these wounds, whether they're internal or external, there is no real difference. It's just simply the method of delivery. They are not seen and healed. They are projected outwards or stuffed back deep into the recesses of your energetic being, creating energetic blocks, creating dissonance, creating unease and dis-ease and disease and pain of the physical, pain in the mental realm, pain in the spiritual realm, knowing that at a spiritual level you are always healed. It is just simply your view and perspective of it in separation, whereby you see it as being wounded. So when the heart is open in this image of a tree, if someone brings forth something that wounds you, that pokes at a wound, that creates a reaction, and the heart is open, you see it and you receive it. And it can continue through this toric field of energy in which you can process it, you can transform it, you can transmute it, you can bring it down deep into your trunk, down into your roots, to see what it might be connected to that is deep, deep within the unconscious of this life or another life, of the collective. And you can allow it to move through that toric field of energy, to come up into the surface, up through the trunk, back up through the branches, through the physical trunk, through the toric field, the outside of the toric field, if you're imagining it in your mind's eye. One in the same, in the sense there is no sense of time and motion, for there is motion, yet there is so much that it is still. It is one. Thereby, when that arises, when you react, you can then see where it's coming from and heal it. So at your level of experience, it does not feel like a moment in time. It does not feel like a moment of stillness. It can feel like a great deal of movement, because you are experiencing that great deal of movement of the toric field that is moving so quickly that it actually is in a place of stillness. So when the heart is open, you can heal these wounds. You do not project them back out into the world. You do not stuff them deeper into the recesses of your unconscious and subconscious and cellular memory. You do not impact the expression of the DNA in which you refer to it and see it at this time through this. For your DNA is in your cells, and if your cells are remembering, are holding, how could it not impact it? And that there is a reflection, a mirror, that there is something very deep within the recesses of you, of the collective, that is shifting how you express to communicate back to you that there is something that is of need. And yes, it gets to the point where you do need medical support. And that is why it is important to do this work before it turns into something that manifests in the body as something that does need support medically. Do not feel a sense of shame or guilt if you are at that point. And even us saying do not feel may bring something up, which is why we use that terminology. For that terminology is used so often to society. Do not cry. Do not show. Do not be. And again, that is someone else's stuff, as you say. That is collective energy that is being given to you with an opportunity. What do you feel when you hear that? Do not judge yourself. Do you feel a sense of relief? Do you feel a sense of shame? Do you feel a sense of judgment because you cannot stop? Just simply honor that and see it. See it in truth, see it in clarity, for that is how you begin to heal. And that is how you begin to break free of the conditioning and ingrained patterning and beliefs, the limiting beliefs that you were born into, and that you enable without even recognizing it. But once you recognize it, it may feel hard to move through it, but that is the process. That is the process of clearing, trusting that as you move through it, it will get easier and easier. It is like doing anything challenging. If you take up running, it can feel incredibly hard. And then after time, you may find that you love it. You may find that it is not supportive of your body. Everyone's experience is different. But if you are honoring your own experience and not the experience that you believe you should be having, you can be living in a place of union and truth, moving deeper and deeper into that state of alignment. We understand we have brought forth a lot of information today, and we will end this transmission to allow you to sit with it, to process. And take this transmission as an opportunity to just simply notice what is before you. Take a step back and see it with clarity, with compassion, to honor any difficult feelings that may be present, to honor any difficult sensations that may be present, to just simply allow them to be present, to not judge them, to not push them away, to not change them, to just simply feel them. There is nothing to do. They know what to do. Trust that the energy knows exactly how to flow, and just be present to the experience of it, knowing that you are safe. It is just simply an energy that is moving like a wave. You do not try to stop a wave from moving. That is incredibly challenging. You are present to the wave, knowing it comes into the shore and goes back out. And then another wave comes and goes back out. But the waves are the ocean. They're just simply allowing you to see something, to feel something. So when a feeling arises, when a sensation arises, allow yourself to be with it, experiencing it as a wave of energy that isn't there to hurt you, it is there to heal you. And in that way, you do not hurt yourself and you do not hurt another. We also understand that many people may struggle with this, and asking for support around it, gaining tools to do it in a way that is supportive, is very important. And knowing if that is you is exactly part of this process. Everyone's experience will be different, and yet the experience of it is one and the same, but how is it expressed, how it is experienced is different. It is like the stars. It is the same energy, and yet it impacts everyone differently based on your natal chart. If you see that through that particular lens as being a truth of yours, it is just simply an example, a mirror, a way of perceiving, a way of experiencing. If it resonates, it resonates. If it does not resonate, just simply notice that. It may be in dissonance, just like that flower. Or there may be something deeper that is creating a dissonance, and sitting with that dissonance actually allows that to heal. Perhaps in another life, you were wounded for believing in astrology. Perhaps you were an astrologer that was harmed for engaging in the practice of it. So it may not be this belief feeling that it is not for you. It may be a deeper block that just simply needs to be healed. And if you continuously have people in your life that talk about astrology, if you keep finding it entering into your orb, and you keep shunning it away, take a step back. Why does this keep presenting itself to me? Is there something deeper in this for me to see? Not seeking, not finding, not analyzing, just simply dropping in and allowing anything to arise. And now we do leave you, but we never leave you. We just simply hit a moment of pause, a moment of stillness for you to sit with this. And until next time, we love you, we are you. Good day, good morrow, good, bad, otherwise. Just simply allow it to be. Allow it to be. Allow it to be.